Oh, all right. We just got back from our Mount Cammerer hike. We camped out of the Cosby Campground in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. Just day hiked it. Pretty tough hike. 11. We ended up with over 11 miles of hiking. 3,000 foot of vertical gain. Absolutely worth it at the top, though. We took Low Gap Trail up to the AT across to the Summit Trail. Some amazing lookout tower up at the top. 360-degree views. Highly recommend this hike. It's one I've wanted to do for a long time. To me, Mount Cammerer is just one of those iconic mountains in the national park. Not the tallest mountain, just a little over 4,900 feet, but the views and just the tower at the top, very cool. It's got an old lookout tower built in the 1930s. So this video is just going to kind of document that hike, kind of show you what it's like, what it looks like at the top, what the hike is like. So if you're interested in this mountain or this hike, check out this video, and hopefully it'll help you out.
Come on now, let's go. Game face. So we hiked this from the Cosby Campground, the Low Gap Trail. There's several different ways within the campground to access this trail, but the trailhead we used was in the very back of the B section. Basically the very top of B, you'll find the trail here. Mount Cammerer, 4.6 miles to the Summit Trail. That's 2.5 miles on the Low Gap Trail intersection with the Appalachian Trail, and another 2.1 till you hit the Summit Trail. The trail starts off, you see just a nice gravel road for the first maybe a couple tenths of a mile. It doesn't last very long. Now this trail is a pretty good climb. The first 3 miles of this hike, you're going to be going pretty much uphill constantly. So be prepared for that. You gain 3,000 foot vertical gain on this hike, and it's all in the first 3 miles. 2.5 miles on the Low Gap, and then when you hit the AT, it's about another half a mile of climbing. And then you actually start to go back down a little bit before you intersect with the Mount Cammerer Summit Trail. So at the back of this little road, you see this little turnaround, and then the trail proper just kind of comes off the back of that. And this is kind of, where it starts. There's a nice little water crossing here pretty early on, and then after that, it's all uphill. In this water crossing, we walked across the footbridge, but as you can see, you pretty much just could have waded right across it. A couple of steps. The water wasn't very high at all on this day. This is the only water crossing on the hike. Usually when you hike in the Smokies, you're crossing water back and forth all day long. But again, the Low Gap Trail, you start going straight up the side of the mountain pretty much right after this water crossing, so this is the only one you get. Interestingly enough, this was pretty cool. We did see where they actually were building more footbridges. They had just sawed a tree down right there and started to cut it down, and I guess they'll come back and move it to where they want it. I've never seen that before. So after the water crossing, it's, just be prepared. You're going to be climbing for a while. You've got about 3 miles where you're going to be going pretty much up the mountain, switchback after switchback. The trail itself, though, is really pretty nice trail. Not that rocky. It gets a little more rocky the higher you go, but the trail was well maintained, well worn. Easy to follow, of course, and really not a bad trail at all. Just a nice walk in the mountains. We had a beautiful day on this hike. We hiked it out on a Friday, and the trail wasn't too crowded. There was one group of 4 going up with us. They passed us, we passed them back and forth several times. And then we saw 2 different groups coming down, one individual and I think a couple. And then when we got to the summit, there was 3 or 4 small groups at the summit too. So didn't have the whole summit or the trail to ourselves, but it wasn't that bad. If you go during the middle of the week, you may have it all to yourself. On the Saturday or Sunday, could probably be more people on the trail. And finally, after a seemingly endless series of switchbacks, we finally come to the intersection with the Appalachian Trail. From here, it's another 2.1 miles to the Cammerer Summit Trail. It took us a little over 2 hours to walk the 2.5 miles from the campground. Pretty steep climb. So allow yourself plenty of time, and just remember the hardest part's going to be the beginning. Once you get past that first 2.5 to 3 miles, it gets a lot easier. The AT was a little surprising. More overgrown than the Low Gap Trail, surprisingly. More debris and things in the way. A well-worn trail like that, it still wasn't bad, but it just surprised me that it was a little bit overgrown there. So at one point, you actually start going back down as you approach the intersection with the Cammerer Summit Trail. Here we hit the Cammerer Summit Trail, and we see a couple folks walking back down from the summit. When you get to this point, the Cammerer Summit Trail is just going to be straight across. The AT is going to kind of turn and go to the right there. 0.6 of a mile to the top. Now, once we got up here, it started getting a good bit more and more rocky. You see some big boulders up there. This is an intersection with one of the horse trails. As you see, here's a little place to tie the horses off. Interestingly enough, the sign says no horses beyond this point, so I'm not sure where they're supposed to go. Just turn around and go back the way they came, I guess. But you can see the trail gets rockier. The whole landscape is just getting more and more rocky as we get close to the top. And at the very end, you'll see you're just kind of climbing over a bunch of big boulders to get to the last little bit. Final push. After almost 6 miles of hiking out of Cosby Campground. Oh yeah. Mount Cammerer Summit, Mount Cammerer Lookout Tower. Very rocky. Very rocky last section here. Very muddy. This is great.
Once you get over to this rock here, you're fine. Yeah.
See that?
checking out the tower, we went back down just a little ways below the summit, had lunch on these rocks. As you're coming back down, you're not far at all from the summit. On the way back down on the right, you'll step off on these rocks. It's a big area, and just again, outstanding views. Again, looking down at the town of Cosby, Interstate 40, the foothills, and the mountains in the distance. So all in all, just a great day. Fairly tough hike, but in the end, completely worth it. We had a beautiful day. We had amazing views, and it's a really cool tower. So if you want to go on a good hike, check this one out. Put it on your list. It's definitely worth doing.